Has the Jurgen Klopp era officially come to an end at Liverpool? Because following a goalless draw against Chelsea, Liverpool's season is looking pretty grim. And as a Manchester United fan, I've been delaying making this video because I've been conditioned to respect Liverpool. I've been conditioned to believe in Liverpool. I've been conditioned to anticipate that Liverpool, despite having a poor start to the first half of the season, are going to somehow go on an inexplicable, majestic run towards the end of the season and sneak their way into the top four. But for the first time in the Jurgen Klopp era, it seems like that is not going to happen. For the first time in the Jurgen Klopp era, it seems like Liverpool falling apart in the first half of the season has actually translated into the second half of the season. And this time they are finally going to be knocked down and they're going to stay down forever. And the big telltale sign about today's game for me is that you look at the injuries and the players who are missing. Chelsea have a lot more players out than Liverpool do. So if anyone in this game has the excuses on their side, it's Chelsea. Chelsea have a new manager. Chelsea have a new owner. Chelsea don't have their best players and have more injuries than Liverpool. Chelsea were away from home. Chelsea have every single excuse in the book to lose this game. And somehow Chelsea were actually the better team. There were moments where Anfield was completely silent, completely and utterly silent. And that is a suggestion that the fans were not happy. And the fans weren't even booing. You know, there's a difference between getting booed and complete silence. When you're getting booed, at least the fans still care. At least people care enough to hate you. At least people care enough to let you know how disgruntled and dissatisfied they are. But when a crowd is silent at home, when they're supposed to be backing you, at a club like Liverpool, that's a big telltale sign that something is going terribly wrong. Another telltale sign is Mo Salah's performance. His recent performances in general have not been particularly great, even when he has scored, even when he has gotten an assist, even when he has contributed to Liverpool directly on the scoreboard. They haven't been great, but today he didn't even manage to score. He didn't even manage to influence things in the grander scheme of things for Liverpool, and he was just terrible. Granted, Liverpool as a whole are terrible at the moment, so singling out one individual player doesn't really make too much sense. But the thing is, Mo Salah is that guy. He is the guy who's supposed to carry Liverpool. He's the guy who's supposed to make things happen. He is your talisman. And somehow he has completely fallen off a cliff. And I think his performances, especially today, are really symbolic of the Jurgen Klopp era. This is a player who I think has lost his drive. I think he's just lost his motivation. And I think that's true of a lot of other Liverpool players in that team. When I look at them, they don't have the same level of intensity. And I know intensity is a word that's overused and overthrown when it comes to Liverpool, but it's true. That is what we associate the great Liverpool teams under Klopp with. The team that won the Champions League, the team that won the Premier League. What is the first word that comes to mind? Intensity, grit, passion. Chasing down the 50-50s, relentlessly pressing, gegenpressing to try get the ball back within 5 seconds of losing it. They've lost that. They've completely and utterly lost that cutting edge. And you know, you see it even in the new signing like Cody Gakpo. Cody Gakpo, obviously, you can't really blame him too much. And I'm not going to sit here and do the typical rival thing and call him a flop and, you know, start calling him names just because I don't support Liverpool. I'm not going to do that because I quite like Cody Gakpo and I wish Manchester United had signed Cody Gakpo. I think he's a phenomenal footballer and I think he's going to turn into something special at Liverpool Football Club. But at the moment, he looks like a deer in the headlights. He looks completely lost. And I think he is just another example of just what's going wrong at Liverpool because your signings have not been particularly great. Don't forget about this guy, Darwin Núñez, right? Don't forget about this guy. The recent signings that Liverpool have been making, Liverpool Football Club have been making for the last couple of years have all been misses. I mean, Thiago was probably one of the best midfielders you've bought in the Klopp era. And even he, I don't think has been a hit. I think Thiago's been a miss. I think Thiago has not been the player that Liverpool fans thought they were getting. And I love Thiago. I think he's a fantastic player. I loved him before he went to Liverpool anyways. I don't think he's been that great. I don't think he's solved the problems in that Liverpool team that people quite expected him to solve. And for a while now, things have been going wrong in the Klopp era in terms of recruitment, in terms of injuries, and just overall in terms of tactics, in terms of the fluidity of how you play. For me, when I look at Jurgen Klopp in terms of his man management, in terms of the substitutions that he makes, in terms of who he starts, and also just tactically, the way Liverpool choose to set up and how they play football, there hasn't been enough change in my opinion. There have been subtle tactical changes that they've made this season to try solve their problems, but all of them have failed long term. And genuinely speaking, it seems like he's run out of ideas. He's run out of ways to fix the problem. And people can talk about FSG. People can talk about the lack of spending from FSG and say there are clearly bigger problems and extenuating circumstances beyond Jurgen Klopp's control. And that is fine. That is a plausible and reasonable and rational argument. But for years, we got told by Liverpool fans that Jurgen Klopp is this great manager who deserves to be mentioned in the same light as the Pep Guardiolas and the Sir Alexes and the Wengers, because the key difference between him and a lot of managers like Pep Guardiola, like Antonio Conte, like Jose Mourinho, is that he doesn't need a checkbook. That's what we got told by Liverpool fans, right? That he can turn lesser players into world-class players. We got told that he turned Van Dijk into a world-class player. He turned Sadio Mane into a world-class player. He turned Mo Salah into a world-class player, a reject from Chelsea who nobody knew was going to end up back in the Premier League as one of the best wingers, arguably, of this generation, right? He turned Robertson, Trent into world-class players. Look at what he did with Henderson. Look at how he turned Henderson into this great midfielder. Look at what he achieved with Gini Wijnaldum and Henderson and Fabinho in the midfield. Right? That's what we got told by Liverpool fans, that this guy has stardust. He can sprinkle his magical stardust across the team and turn lesser players into world-class players. Now, in reality, no manager can really do that by themselves, and it's obviously a load of nonsense, but that's what Liverpool fans told us. So we expect Klopp to work miracles, right? And it's clearly not the case. He clearly is struggling. He clearly needs signings. He clearly needs backing. He clearly needs money. Like every other manager on planet Earth, Jurgen Klopp needs investment in that team. But there are still things he could be doing with the current crop of players, in my humble opinion, that are not FSG's fault. For example, your game against Wolves, even though you didn't lose that game in the FA Cup, that was a poor performance by Liverpool. There's been many games this season. Your game against Brighton when you lost 3-0. Liverpool have a better squad than Brighton. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. FSG out or FSG in, that's irrelevant. You guys should be beating Brighton. Or at the very least, you shouldn't be losing 3-0 against Brighton. Liverpool should be beating teams in the bottom half of the table, and Liverpool should be beating teams in the middle half of the table, or at least making games competitive. That is a fact. And no Liverpool fan can look at me with a straight face and say, you guys have a worse squad than Brighton. You have a worse squad than Wolves. You have a worse squad than all these teams in the Premier League. Because if that's the case, why aren't you in a relegation fight then? Why aren't you in a relegation fight? Why aren't you at the bottom with Southampton and all those other teams? I rest my case. So for me, Klopp has got to take some of the responsibility, man. I know there are bigger problems at Liverpool. Trust me, believe you me, I get it. I'm not one of those idiots who just blames the manager and it's just the manager. If you change the manager, majestically things will change overnight. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that change is needed at Liverpool, and the first change you can make is the manager. That's the easiest thing to change. Changing owners, kind of hard. You can't change a whole squad overnight. That's kind of hard as well. But changing the manager, that's the first step. And I think the manager is culpable for Liverpool's form. Anyways, it's been your boy TripleM. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you disagree or agree, let me know in the comments. Leave a like on the video if you want to support the channel, and subscribe if you are new. Peace.